The internet changed how we work. AI is changing what work gets done. A bank cut loan processing from days to hours. A student built an AI scheduler, improving on-time delivery from under 70% to over 90%. Most teams know AI matters, but aren't sure where to start. InAI is Indiana's statewide AI adoption effort, built with industry, academia, and community partners, helping you move from understanding to action. Visit inaiready.com.
Kristen, Dane. It's the last show of August here on the Pete the Planner Experience. Joined, the whole crew is here for the last time in a couple weeks, as Dame is on suspension for something he's going to say later today on the show. Hello, Jenny. Hello, David. Hello, Chris. Hello, Jason. And hello, Kristen.
Hello.
Yeah, that's you. Hey, Andy. And then Dame, how are you?
You can't just sneak us in there like we're just part of the crew, part of the crowd. I mean, a little bit of definition would have helped us there.
Hello, J.O. All the way from Missouri. There's a theory that if you're in St. Louis, it is Missouri. If you're outside of St. Louis, it's Missouri. Have you guys heard this?
No.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, J.O. taught me that, but now she's going to probably come back and say that's not true. Hello, Tom Ricks. 7. Man, you guys.
There's 6 others.
Hello, man. Thank you, Tom Ricks. 7. Dave, my high school reunion, a 30-year high school reunion, is this Saturday night, and I'm not going.
No, you don't say.
Yeah. Are you a reunion fella?
No, I went to the first one and haven't been to one since. Sorry, there may be people listening to this that I graduated with. Sorry. It's just not my thing, man. I'm sorry.
Kristen, here's my beef. I got things, but here's my thing. On social media now, there's this trend where it's like on shorts or reels or TikToks or whatever, where there's music and they show a picture of someone from the yearbook, and then they show them at the reunion, like dancing with their gin and tonic. And then it's just like, I'm not going out of the fear that someone's going to do one of those, because I look like I was in a nuclear accident now compared to my high school photo. And I just don't need that. I mean, I live it. I just don't need it captured with a music. You know what I mean?
That's fair. So do you think that those who want to frequent the reunion had a glow up? Is that the hypothesis? Is like, I need people to see that I'm doing better now, you know?
I have a theory about this, Dame.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Okay, I have an actual theory about this. I've talked about this week. The 10-year reunion is the reunion of glow-ups.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe you were awkward.
Yeah.
And then now you're less awkward, or you can afford good skincare. I don't know how this works. 10 years is the glow-up. 20-year is a lot less about what you look like and more about like what you've done in life, right? It's more of like what your career is doing. You got some kids or something. 30 years is where, again, I'm not even going to experience it because it's coming this weekend. I think it's where it starts to get a little sad, you know? Yeah, you're there and you're like, I've gained 800 pounds. I have no hair. I don't know. I just feels like it gets rough at 30. And then I think back at 40, you're just glad to be alive and you go again.
Yeah, probably.
So you were saying that you've peaked.
I peaked when I was 14. It's all been downhill.
I think social media has not done any favors to high school reunions, because you get to see people and talk to them and stay connected with them 24/7 if you want to.
And at the risk of sounding exactly like I'm going to sound, at least in central Indiana, people can see me all the time.
He's not wrong.
So I'm not wrong. And so then there's this dynamic of like, it's not an equal playing field. And And you're like, oh, that's absurd. Okay, it's absurd, but it's awkward. How are you? Oh, I know how you are. Blah, 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 blah. It's awkward to me. Kristen, go ahead. Go ahead. No, please. No,
I have nothing productive to say, and we have a hard stop.
We do got to get out. I'm waiting for the vapor lock to be done in 30 seconds.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
I think it's a valid point. Now, is this something you should say out loud? Probably not. It's true.
Guess what clip's going to be played at the reunion if you're not there?
Oh, can they work the AV? I don't know. Good Lord. All right. We're in 7 seconds. We're starting the show. We just got to get through the vapor lock in 3, 2, 1. Am I back from the vapor lock?
Yes.
Yes.
3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us, Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. That is Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com, and we will answer your question on the show. Oddly enough, today's show has nothing to do with what someone asked us. It has more to do with something we've been wondering. We is plural. Plural equals Kristen Elanius. Kristen, hello.
Hello, Pete.
And Damien Dunn, no relation.
Good day, Pete.
Okay, so lots of chitter chatter out there in the world of things about a trade war with our neighbors to the north. Minnesota. No, Kansas. if states got within trade wars with each other, I don't feel like we're that far off, oddly.
Yeah.
Canada trade war, okay? Well, today's show is in no way to take sides in the Canadian trade war. I not my interest. It is not necessarily to say it's much better to be Canadian or it's much better to be American. We're not doing that either. There's some fundamental differences between personal finance in Canada and the US, and they're a little bit shocking. Beyond that, we're going to talk about later in the show, what country is it easier to be middle class? I think that is always sort of the tenor of a lot of personal finance decisions of like, what country is it better to be middle class? So Dane, we got to start when we talk about the differences between personal finance in Canada and the United States. Oddly enough, we got to start with mortgages because they couldn't be any more different, and they're shockingly different.
Yeah, there are. If you're not aware of this, what we're about to say might it will be surprising, certainly. And I hope you're wondering why in the world would anybody agree to do something like this.
Okay, so Dave, before we reveal it, I had the same thought, and then Kristen, I don't know if you thought about this, but I was like, this feels so pro lending institution. That because it de-risks lending, like, and I would never think, okay, again, we're just like whatever we're walking into this conversation with. I would never think, I bet Canada is pro banking institution, but this is wild. All right, Dame, do you want to give a rip at what this thing looks like here?
If we think about the traditional mortgage, the one that what percentage of people in the U.S., Kristen, do you think have 30-year mortgages? Homeowners. I have no idea. I don't know. I didn't look this up, but I mean, it's over 90% probably.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Totally.
Jamie, look that up for me. So we're all familiar with the traditional, typical 30-year mortgage. We know what it's going to be. 30 years, that payment. Now, obviously, the escrow is going to change a little bit, but we know we're locked into that payment, 30 years. Canadians separate the amortization from the mortgage term. In other words, homeowner might have a 25-year amortization, but only a 5-year mortgage contract. 5-year mortgage contract. We've got 30. They've got 5, after which they have to renew at whatever the prevailing rate is. They can stay in your house. You just got to refinance it.
That is wild. So the interest rate risk is much more of an issue for Canadians because if interest rates are rising, then you've been in a home for 15 years. It's instantly unaffordable because of interest rates.
So what you're telling me is in Canada, your guys' time to brag would be running out
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
or
because
has run out.
Yeah.
so
Can you imagine?
No.
Think about the two of you bragging about the like low rates that were 5-ish, 6 years ago, whatever, and that you'd be renewing at like my rate.
Okay, 2.5. Okay, let's think about this. Dame, I think 2021 is when I got my 2.5% interest rate.
15 year.
10 year.
10 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
2.5%, 2021.
Ew.
October. 5 years later. Next month. I go from a 2.5% mortgage to a 7% mortgage.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And the weird thing about this to me, Canada actually requires borrowers at federally regulated lenders to pass a mortgage stress test, essentially demonstrating that they can handle a higher interest rate than the one that they're receiving. And what I don't understand is like what happens if you fail the stress test?
You have to move, huh?
Hey.
That's
That's what you should have. You missed it.
Oh, you missed it. You were so close. You were so close.
Oh, bummer.
So Dame alone on mortgages, that's wild. That is tough. It makes me want to talk to Canadians and see if that is in fact like how they get their head around it. Because sometimes with cultural differences like this, they don't know that sucks, but it sucks.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how the average household is supposed to budget for anything. I'm trying to go from your biggest monthly expense goes from 2% to 7%. And you're forced into doing that. I guess I shouldn't say forced. Maybe they have other products, but I don't think they do, because this is the mortgage I always hear about in reference to Canada. So how do you maintain a sane budget if your mortgage rate just went up from 2 to 7% and you already got a car payment, you've got something else going on? How do you manage that?
It's wild. That's why Kristen would love it. She gets to just move every couple years.
That's true.
It wouldn't even affect me.
It really wouldn't. You've never been in a house. What's the longest you've been in a house?
I'm pretty sure the condo was the longest, and it was just over 2 years.
I'm sick to my stomach.
I don't know. It's worked out great so far. So
Let's try to squeeze in the Canadian equivalent of Roth IRAs, but often people feel objectively that the Canadian version, the tax-free savings account, the TFSA, is better than the Roth IRA. Dame, why do people feel that?
Well, biggest reason is that yes, you get the same benefits. You put after-tax money in, it grows tax-free. Withdrawals are actually tax-free, but when you take money out, you get that contribution room back the following year, so you can make additional contributions over that annual contribution limit. So it could be a really, really interesting way to build wealth, not just retirement.
Kristen, the crazy thing is the limit is $7,000 of contributions Canadian, which is the equivalent of $5,000 American at the current exchange rate, $5,050. But people do like the TFSA better than the Roth IRA.
as practitioners, how did the two of you feel about this one? Because I have big thoughts.
Go ahead. I'm hardly a practitioner, but go ahead.
Oh, excuse me. Behaviorally, I don't really think that I like it. I think one of the benefits to the way that retirement or qualified accounts are structured in the US is that there's that force function of separating people from the money that's intended for their long term, and allowing someone to use those funds. I don't know behaviorally that it promotes what we want out of the long term for retirement savings.
Kristen, this is a tax-free savings account. It doesn't say retirement in there. It doesn't have to be retirement.
But we're calling it the Roth equivalent.
Because tax-wise, it has the closest relationship to a Roth.
You want to talk about feeling sick to my stomach. Kristen, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think it is not conducive to good financial behavior, and something like this in the US would destabilize American households' finances. Boy, that's aggressive. Here's what we're going to do after the break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about their primary retirement system in Canada and so much more. And then finally, answer the question, where is it easier to be middle class, US or Canada? That is next on the Pete the Planner Show. I am Pete the Planner. This portion of the program is brought to you by NeighborServe. In fact, specifically, the white glove home concierge service by NeighborServe. Mrs. Planner was on a walk with her friend this week, a little lady walk, kind of walking, a little sweating, a little walking, a little sweating, and they're talking. And her friend says, hey, we need some work done. And every time we get a contractor to come out, this is a true story, around replacing some trim on our house, they'll show up and then they won't give us an estimate. And we've done this like 3 or 4 times where someone just doesn't even want the work. Mrs. Planner says, hey, here's what you need to do. Do what we do. NeighborServe's got this home concierge program that never happens to us because they've got really good contractors that don't flake out. Hey, everybody, you don't have time to have 4 contractors come out and then ghost you because they don't know how to run a business. No one has time for that. So do what the Planner household does. Go to neighborserve.com/Pete, actually, for a free 1 month worth of home concierge. You ain't got time to let people waste your time. So go to NeighborServe's home concierge service to guide you along the path. neighborserve.com/Pete. Mrs. Planner did not know she was going to be in that ad this week.
She still won't know.
And she will never know.
That's a good point.
Dame, you've got the big one coming up here. The ACD Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Always a celebration of Dame yelling at other middle-aged men with sort of arbitrary authority.
I mean, I can kick him out.
There it is. You guys, did anyone else feel, Kristen, did you feel that?
Yeah.
That was very real. So Dame's town is known for one of the greatest. Can I do my best to say what this is?
Please.
Oh, no. Actually, I don't want to do this now. Your tone today, boy, you're just such a provocative actor.
I'm just getting into the role already.
So in Auburn, Indiana, there is a festival called the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Festival, ACD. And it is where a bunch of classic car enthusiasts bring their classic cars for a meetup. A gathering, a festival, and they pull into a lot, and they have washed their cars recently, and then they stand around the cars and talk about their cars, and they wipe their cars with chamois, and the parking's important because they're a bunch of middle-aged white men, and Dame is there to help with the parking. He's highly involved, and it raises money for spina bifida. What do you guys raise money for?
To try and do it again the next year, so the ACD club can come back and have a bigger crowd to come and look at their cars. Now, budget's very small. The classic cars are a small part of what this has turned into. The issue is almost always with people who don't have classic cars.
Okay, I have so many questions. We don't have a lot of time today because we got to do a fast show, but I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Kirsten, do you have any? I don't want to take both. Do you have any? Because I have one.
0.
Okay. Number 1, what sort of problem do the non-classic cars people cause?
Usually one of 2 things: parking location, which they don't like the street they were told to park on, or how close we tell them to park to the car next to them. Because we gotta try and squeeze in all these cars, and it's not in a parking lot. We shut down downtown streets, state highway, all sorts of stuff, and so we've got limited space that we can try and get 600 plus cars parked in.
Okay, final question because we don't have time. Are there funnel cakes?
Not this week.
In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show, just working through a little disappointment during the break. Talking about Canada with all the talks of the trade war with our closest ally. We just wanted to ask the question of ourselves, how different are the financial lives of Canadians than Americans? Who is better at questions about why we're Americans, but they're North Americans? Are they also Americans? Who can answer that question amongst you two?
They're North Americans.
They're North Americans, but they're not Americans.
They live in Canada.
But
Correct.
We're in North America as well.
But we're called.
Yes.
No one else is concerned about this?
Not in the slightest.
What country do you live in?
The United States
Of
North America. Anyway. Thank you. Exactly. All right. So first we hit you with the differences between mortgages. Very different. You have to reset your rate. Basically, it's like an arm, like a required 5-year arm.
Bizarre.
So bizarre. Then we got to their tax-free savings account, which is very similar to a Roth IRA. Although, who made the point? Dame made the point. It doesn't say retirement. It simply says tax-free savings account, and people use them for retirement and all sorts of other stuff.
And then Pete made the incredibly incendiary accusation saying it would burn down the economy. Were those the words that you used if that was implemented in America?
That's what I heard.
I did not say that. It would actually help our economy, but it would destabilize personal finance, which is actually the theme of this show for the last 300 years, however long we've been on. What stokes the economy ruins people's personal finances.
So you must hate brokerage accounts.
What? They're not tax-free.
Who cares? You're taking money in and out.
Who cares?
You're talking about putting money in and taking it out. That's what you do in a brokerage account.
Gentlemen.
Next on to the Canada Pension Plan, often called the CPP. Plus, they've got something called the OAS, the Old Age Security. You realize that all acronyms are dumb once you encounter one you're not familiar with. And then you're like, wait, people aren't familiar with the ones I'm familiar with, and those sound dumb to them.
Like my message pre-show. Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny. After I walked out of my office, I sent that message to you. I was like, oh, I know what that means. But I didn't have the heart to tell you that you were right again. All right. So CPP, Canada Pension Plan, payroll funded, sounds similar. Something we got here with another dumb acronym, kind of a 401k. And employees generally contribute about 6% on covered earnings up to this first ceiling with the employer matching it. So that I want to stop there. I am hearing Canadian employers are putting in 6% as opposed to American employers put closer to 4%.
If generally matching and we're pushing 5.95%, I suppose that's exactly what it says. Feels suspicious.
I will say the U.S. equivalent in dollars to the max still works out to what, Dame? $25,000?
Something like that.
Yeah, we did the math a little bit earlier. So I would say these are pretty similar. So this is how it would compare. By the way, we need to get to the OAS. The OAS is a little different than a 401k. The OAS eligibility is primarily based on age and Canadian residency rather than your actual work or contribution history. Mm-hmm. So you get an OAS, or you have old age security, which again feels like Social Security to me. Is that how you guys are reading that one?
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
All right. So in the US, you've got Social Security, a 401k/IRA, and a pension if you're lucky. In Canada, you've got the CPP, which is the version of the 401k, the OAS, which is the version of their Social Security. Then you've got the RRSP and the TFSA, which is their tax-free savings, plus employer pensions and savings if they have them.
All I hear, lots of burdens on employers at this point, just forking money over left and right.
Oh my gosh, I love when Dame comes out. If he's not... Dame was talking to us pre-show about some T-shirts he wants to start wearing on the show, but I don't know if they're going to get through our board of standards. Yeah. Dame, can you tackle college savings? This is my last 2 weeks have been nonstop college funding conversations at my household, and it's actually making me visibly ill. But if I was Canadian, what would I do?
Well, Canada has the RESP, the Registered Education Savings Plan, RESP. Typically, the government's going to contribute about 20% of the first $2,500 parents contribute each year. So you're getting a kicker from the government for saving for your kid's education.
Now, this doesn't feel that different than the Indiana 529 savings plan, where if you put in $5,000, you get $1,000 back. Here, you put in, it's the same percentage, but it's only up to $500 contribution.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Well, the 529s are state by state. A state income tax contribution or deduction or credit has very little to do with Tennessee or Texas or any of the other states that don't have income tax. So you're getting a guaranteed return by doing it Canada's way.
Yeah, that's interesting because their contributions going into the account for the benefit of the child versus, and to be fair, we live in one of the best states for 529. And to say that we're getting, I am getting that equivalent back in my tax return or reducing my tax liability. I kind of like the idea that the contributions then go in and benefit the kid.
There's some other elements that popped up before I want to get to who has the better middle class life, which we'll do in the segment 3 here. Canadians love debt. This was surprising. Canadians are actually more indebted, that's the word I want to go with, than people from the United States. Shocking.
That's because they don't know how much their mortgage is going to be. How are you going to plan?
Canadian households carried about, in Canadian dollars, $1.80 of credit market debt for every Canadian dollar of disposable income, which is much higher than it is in the U.S. What?
Wow,
Kristen, I actually buy your joke there. I think the uncertainty.
I was being serious.
Oh, okay. Well, I buy your seriousness. Other factor here is healthcare. We have to talk healthcare, but I don't want this to turn into like a dumb thing. So I think I will go here, and you guys can beat it up if you want. I think the primary difference, we're not talking free healthcare because that's not. I think that oversimplifies it. I think we're talking about medical financial risk. In the United States, if you have you have a better chance of having medical debt ruin your financial life than you do in Canada. That is the primary difference. Now, people love to argue about how healthcare is better or worse in Canada, that it is free, it is not free. I don't know about any of that, but I do know that fewer people in Canada have their financial lives ruined by medical expenses than they do in the United States. Dame, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think we have to leave the quality of care and things like that off of the table for the discussion. I think we're just talking about the financial aspect of it, whether who's paying for it, I don't care. Right now, we're talking about the liability that you could incur from getting medical care. And in Canada, you're not going to have your life ruined by it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. All right, let's do this. Boy, so uplifting. Let's do this. Take a break. Coming back after the break, we're going to ask a very simple question. Where is it easier to be middle class and succeed? In Canada or the United States of America? We'll do that next, right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Guys, lost Dolly Parton this week.
Too soon.
Damia, Dolly guy?
Never really listened to tons and tons of her music, but big admirer of hers for how she treated people and the things she did. I told somebody earlier this week, I said, we know a lot of the great things that Dolly did, and I bet we barely know a fraction of the things that she did.
Yeah. Kind of universally loved, this person.
Truly.
Very much.
Who knew? We all came together on hating the insider trading of Congress and our love for Dolly Parton.
I saw somebody suggest that making September 25th Dolly Parton Day.
Correct. I saw that as well.
925. 925.
Oh boy.
Which is brilliant.
And everyone will donate to their local nonprofit that supports the Imagination Library.
Andy points out Tim Curry as well. And then I don't know if anybody else saw it, that Glenn Close posted a very cryptic post on, I think it was Instagram, saying she's out in the mountains or wherever she's at, and she's I'm in mom's shirt, Pip's right behind me, and blah, blah, blah. And she's making it sound like she didn't know if she was going to see the sun come up the next day.
What?
So if you go look, I think it was Glenn Close, and I think it was Instagram. But if you go find that, not right now, Pete, you're doing a show.
Dane, what media are you consuming that you would know? Hey guys, just a Glenn Close update.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, I'm assuming it's because I had just looked at like Tim Curry, something about that right before, and then Glenn Close pops up, and I was like,
Hey, Dame, you want to do a little segment called Kristen Disappoints Us Both?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I think I can play along with this.
Kristen, have you seen one of the Tim Curry greatest movies of all time?
You already know the answers now.
Clue.
No, I had to. I always feel like I am that Keke Palmer video of like, I am so sorry, I don't know who this man is. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that clip, but that is me every time you guys ask me about like any person or any movie. It's like, I'm sorry, it might have been really good. I had to Google who Tim Curry was.
Well, let's do a turnabout here. Despite the fact that Dame looks like Sean Evans, Dame, do you know who Keke Palmer is?
No idea.
See, there it goes. That's amazing. I knew that was coming.
The Sean Evans thing was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
Clue is one of the best. When I was a kid, I swore I watched Clue 150 times. It was so great. Dame, did you enjoy Clue?
Yes.
So good. I am a singing telegram. All right. So anyway, that's what we got. All right, let's come back after the break. I'm going to do just so you know, coming back after the break, I have a nice tribute to longtime WIBC traffic reporter Matt Baer. I wanted to do it at the beginning of this segment. He's passed away this week as well, so I might do it now. Just warning to you all. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. Before we get ripping and rolling on the difference of personal finance in the United States and Canada, just want to send my love and appreciation out to the family of Matt Baer, traffic reporter for WIBC for a number of years, passed away this past week at the age of 48. I've known Matt a very long time, incredibly kind person. And so he will be missed by everyone who ever knew him. And so love and hope to his family. Now, how do you transition out of that? Well, let's transition to that by like, what happens if you were in middle class and you live in the United States versus you live in Canada? Your life is different. And so let's talk through various aspects of a financial life and where you benefit depending on where you live. So Dame, we're going to start with a paycheck. Okay. So the average worker in 2025 in Canada made $81,745 gross, which is $60,811 net in what we're calling purchasing power adjusted US dollars. This is a very long-winded way to say living in the United States, your paycheck goes further. You have more purchasing power in the United States. Would you have believed that, Dame?
Yes.
Really? I would have thought it was the opposite. Why? Kristen, you're nodding aggressively. Why are you? Why?
I get the. Sorry.
No, please.
I guess the mortgage clouds almost all of my perspective on that, just because I know housing. Well, not just the mortgage, but the cost of housing in general. Because it's significantly more, at least according to social media I consume, than what it is in the U.S.
Yeah, Kristen, taxes come into this too. People. I don't know what people feel it has better tax rates, but the average tax wedge, in Canada was 32% in 2025, or in the US was 2020. In Canada, it was 32%. In US, it was 30%. So people pay higher taxes in Canada.
Actually, that's interesting because that gap isn't what I thought it would be. I would have thought that the gap was wider. Am I the only one?
No.
Okay. Interesting.
Dame, is that your healthcare perspective there that you thought, well, if there is free healthcare, there's a cost to it and it's going to be higher taxes?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're an American, your income does more. Of course, what we all know is depending on what city you live in, it matters. If you're in New York City or San Francisco or another high cost of living area, that is not the case. And of course, if you're in Toronto or something like that in Canada, it's also probably a little bit different. Let's go to buying a house. The Canadian average home sales price is $674,819 Canadian, and the U.S. median existing home price is $434,100. Dame, once again, owning a home, buying a home in the U.S. is better than buying a home in Canada.
USA.
We're not doing it.
Oh,
I mean, sure.
sorry.
You can have national pride. Again, short of the mortgage thing, this surprises me a little bit. I think, there's so much land in Canada that's not undeveloped that you can just go pluck down and throw up a log cabin, have some maple syrup, and it's not that easy apparently.
No, it's amazing how much of Canada is undeveloped, but apparently housing is at a premium because the costs are exorbitant.
I think it's more than that, though, on the mortgage thing, is that if you don't want to move and you want to know what your payment's going to be short of some escrow changes, which I know here we complain about enough anyway. I mean, I think that is even more valuable than potentially being cheaper on the front end, is the stability over the long term or potential.
Think about how house values, I would assume they fluctuate pretty quickly based off of how quickly people have to turn their mortgages over and the rates that are happening. And so, maybe not, because you're gonna. I'd have to sit and think about that one for a little while.
Ask it out loud again, because I'm tracking with you. It's like, do people try to time the selling of their home versus their mortgage reset?
Yeah. So is there more volatility in home prices because of the turnover in mortgages, the 5-year refinance versus where you could just sit in the house for 30 years here and keep inventory off the market?
That's interesting, because if someone was worried about the interest rate increase, then they would buy lesser home the next time around.
Yeah.
And then therefore housing prices remain stable.
But if there's a lot of people making that decision,
like this October,
and they're all looking to go to a smaller house and there's not as much inventory and you've got more buyers than sellers.
Oh, that's bad too.
Yeah.
But then you think through this and you're like, well, is that really pro banking? Because then there's massive default risk for banks at that point in time if there's no market.
Yeah.
All right. On to having little kids. Kristen, you currently have a little kid.
indeed.
Reality says you should have had that kid in Canada. 8.
My bad.
Yeah, you messed up again. 8 provinces and territories have average regulated childcare fees of $10 a day or less Canadian. $10, with the rest participating in the broader affordability program. American households pay $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 per month for childcare. It's a blip in Canada.
It's interesting because I view, as someone who has shopped childcare and works on a childcare plan like every week, I view it as an opportunity for me. Like, how can I do, like, my childcare costs are lower because of some really intentional decisions that we make in our house that I understand not everyone has all of those decisions, but like from my specific seat, I actually view like our childcare situation as an opportunity.
Dame, how much do you think people are dissuaded from the fact that if you put a child in childcare in Canada, that it is cared for by a moose?
I was going to say it was golden retrievers, so you beat me to the joke. But I mean, how are they affording $10 a week?
Like,
Your
what do they pay these
taxes.
workers?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, isn't it, it's clearly subsidized childcare. So the government is somehow paying for this.
Yeah.
Isn't this the Zoran Mandani? I don't know how to, is this the New York thing? Free childcare sort of thing?
Could be.
Interesting. Anyway. All right. Getting sick. Now this is gonna get interesting. We are talking about finance today here on the Pete the Planner Show. Canadian healthcare is not free. Okay. And I'm not here to argue that it's better. I am here to argue, though, that the limits that come with your financial obligations to your healthcare costs are significantly more advantageous in Canada than the US. If you can't afford it as a middle-class person in the US, it can and will ruin your financial life. In Canada, it won't. Dame, beat it up.
I don't know that I can. I'm without making a bad joke that will probably get me suspended for 2 weeks.
Oh, go ahead. You're going to be suspended for 2 weeks anyway.
No, I'd rather not irritate our neighbors to the north.
Kristen, any beef with that?
No beef here.
I haven't even brought up poutine on this episode, which is wild because it's my
so
favorite
true.
food. How is that? Anyway, continuing on, we got to finish this up. Sending your kid to college, Canada, again, average tuition significantly less in Canada. Feel free to argue about the quality of education. I'll leave that to someone else. Saving and investing as a middle-class person, it's more advantageous to do it in Canada. Retirement is a draw. Both systems kind of cancel each other out. And so if you're keeping track at home, earning power, it's better to be middle class in the US. Buying and financing a home, US by far. Raising young kids, Canada. Healthcare, financial risk, Canada. Paying for college, Canada. Saving, investing structure, Canada. Retirement is a draw. Canada wins 4-2-1. I don't know what you're supposed to do with that information, but I do know this. Coming up after the break is the biggest waste of money of the week, right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. So, Dane, we talked about behind the scenes this week whether we should do this for various countries.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know. In the chat right now, for those listening right now, live stream, or those that are listening on the podcast, feel free to send us a note, askpete@petetheplanner.com, or just comment in the live stream. Do you want us to do this for other countries? Mexico, China, UK, Peru? I don't know.
Vatican City.
Dame and I are leaning towards it. Kristen is leaning against it.
And Dame's out for 2 weeks.
So we wouldn't do it without him.
Please don't.
You will get nothing out of your co-host if you do this next week.
All right. There we go. This is Kristen's point.
Yeah.
Not really that interesting. Not sure what actual advice this provided. Fair. Yeah. France. Okay. Let's finish the show. Boy, this is going to be a doozy of a fast show today.
Indeed.
Let me get
Jeremiah.
To do.
Jeremiah, he would have gotten like the opening segment of Boss Hog of Liberty in the first 50 minutes here. They've got so many people on that show just to introduce each other. It takes 54 minutes.
That's crazy.
They all have nicknames. No one on this show has a nickname, right, Dame?
Nope.
3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner Show is the Vogel Paul Newman Roper boot. Paul Newman commissioned his own pair of Roper boots from Vogel in the 1960s, then had the shoemaker widen the neck and enlarge the pull tab so he could get them on and off while riding his Triumph Bonneville, the bike he was photographed straddling outside of racing and film sets. Vogel's Revival keeps that same profile, a brown ranch hand leather upper over a leather outsole, a rounded toe, and a low practical heel with no decorative stitching to distract from the hide. Each pair is handcrafted in the United States, individually numbered and made to order in half or whole sizes 6 through 12. And so, first off, Kristen, I feel like I just described something appealing to your man.
I don't know about that. He's not been wearing boots a lot lately.
They're a handsome boot, Dame. They're very handsome. I'll be honest; they look more like a fashion boot than a motorcycle boot. That, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Although sometimes if you've got a bigger heel, that's not really great for riding a motorcycle. So the smaller heel might lend itself to a better experience and safety.
Dame knows the craziest stuff.
I was saying the same thing. What? Dame,
I've had a number of motorcycles. I've ridden quite a while.
What?
And sometimes, yes. I got my first motorcycle when I was 20, I think.
Do you still have a motorcycle?
No, got rid of it got rid of the last one when I realized it was way too much bike for me, and I was going to end up widowing my wife and kids if I rode it the way it was intended to be ridden.
Dame, let's play a little game called How Well Do You Know Pete? Dame, what is my next question?
What's the fastest I've ever gone on a motorcycle?
No, it's just like, how many pairs of chaps do you have?
Oh, 0.
I mean, come on.
0. Sorry.
Anyway, Kristen, how much are 0?
0 chaps.
I have several pairs. I don't even have a motorcycle. Kristen, the Vogel Paul Newman Roper boot, how much does this cost?
Boots are just so expensive anyway. These are $450.
All right. Dame Chaps done. What about you?
I'm going to say these are $1,000.
2,500 American dollars, significantly more in Canadian dollars. Dame, what is in the news this week?
Say those were Paul Newman boots or Steve McQueen? Paul Newman, I think, right?
Paul Newman, and they are finished with dressing.
Well done.
Kristen did not get that reference.
It's all right. It's fine. Americans say they're worried about the economy. They just haven't stopped spending yet. Consumer confidence fell to a 7-month low in August, with people more concerned about jobs, inflation, and business conditions. But Visa just processed more than $4 trillion in quarterly payments for the first time. MasterCard, nearly $3 trillion. Both companies' stocks recently hit record highs. Surprising. So what gives? Consumers appear to be getting more selective, not necessarily shutting their wallets. Walmart, Target, and Home Depot all say shoppers are hunting for value and pulling back on bigger purchases. Concern is not just how the spending is being funded, or that is the concern, actually. Personal savings rate fell to just 2.7% in June, meaning Americans are saving less than 3 cents of every dollar in disposable income. Since consumer spending makes up roughly 70% of the U.S. economy, the big question is what happens if Americans eventually start spending the way they say they already feel?
Serious question, not like one that I'm fishing. Do you guys think this is behavior, poor behavior, or do you think this is indicative of where we are with the cost of goods?
I wondered that myself, actually, how much of the spending is due to just increase in costs, and people are not spending because they want to, but because they need to. I would guess it's a blend, but how much I can attribute to one versus the other, I don't know. But I think there's definitely some pressure on spending just because of the cost and how people are budgeting or not budgeting right now.
Yeah, Kristen, do you have a take on that one?
Yeah. Yes, it's probably a blend, but I also believe that the average consumer gives themselves too much leniency or slack and then uses that as justification. I tend to not be as forgiving in this area.
Fair. Dan, what else is in the news?
Chicago spent years digging itself out of a financial hole. Now it appears they're sliding back in. The city is facing a projected budget deficit of about $700 million next year, while credit rating agencies have already started downgrading Chicago again. A big part of the problem is something that I'm pretty sure we've talked about before: pensions and debt. About 40% of Chicago's operating budget now goes toward pension contributions and debt payments.
I would like to point out something really important to this story is they aren't $700 million in debt. They're running a $700 million budget deficit.
Correct.
Those are very different.
Yes.
That means they are going in debt by at least $700 million per year, plus the interest they're paying on the debt they already have. So that's a lot.
Every time I see Chicago's one of the leaders when you hear stories like this, but they're not the only municipality or state that has issues like this. And I think about all of the workers for the state or local governments that are depending on those pensions that they've been promised to get. And when you look at the balances of some of those pension funds, woof, there's going to be some reckoning one way or the other in those.
How do you think that sorts itself out?
Either they get bailed out by the federal government or they end up taking less of a benefit.
So the only way they get bailed out from the federal government is if the administration turns over.
Yes. Yeah. So a different administration would come in and either make up the shortfall in some of the pension payments that have been due to the pensions. That's probably the most likely one, would be my guess.
What else is in the news?
Weddings.
Oh,
they're expensive. I don't know if you knew this. They're expensive. Apparently, so much so that some brides have decided to bring in corporate sponsors.
Stop.
The average wedding cost more than $34,000 last year, and spending jumped another 8.5% in the first half of 2026. So some couples are borrowing a page from influencers and partnering with brands to help cover the bill. We're talking about sponsored dresses, alcohol, invitations, beauty products, party favors. Kristen, even bachelorette parties. Bachelorette parties.
Sign me up.
And you don't necessarily need millions of followers to get a deal. The trade-off, of course, is that your wedding starts to look a little less like a private celebration and more like a marketing campaign. Still, if it's $34,000, I can understand the appeal. At this rate, the next big wedding tradition may be something borrowed, something blue, and something brought to you by Capital One.
Good copy. Dame, that's good stuff, pal. Kristen, you can say punt. If you were to plan a wedding, what do you think you would spend on a wedding these days in the world of Kristen?
However much a marriage license is, and the girl that always takes our family pictures, that's it.
That was not the answer I was expecting, but that's actually the right answer. I mean, for you, that is. I don't know how I missed that one. 34,000 was actually a little bit less than I thought.
Really?
Well, I mean, I think we've talked about this in the last several months at some point on the show. Like, I'm so far out of that world, I have no idea.
That's fair.
I just had a conversation with somebody this week, maybe last week. Their goal is to save $50,000 for their wedding.
If you can save it, go right ahead.
They are not going to be able to save it.
Oh,
They are or not?
Are not.
$50,000 for a wedding. Gosh, I feel like we did a show within the last couple of years about how like a wedding will ruin your life or something like that.
I think so.
So romantic. Anyway, speaking of romance, I have a gift for you. It's good vibes, because good vibes are all that's in the budget. Thanks for listening to Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner.
My favorite.
Yes.
My favorite part of the last segment was when Dame read the copy of like, they just haven't stopped spending. And he was like, I'm going to watch that back, because it was like, it worked really well. It made me laugh almost out loud.
Dame, is the ACD next weekend or the week after?
Next week, Labor Day, always Labor Day weekend.
Okay, so on Friday during the show, what will you be doing during the show?
Yelling at old men.
Can we call you for a
live on location?
Live on location. No. Oh my God.
It's a different persona.
Did you see that, Kristen?
Correct. Okay, here's the thing. You keep saying ACD, and on Friday we're going to see ACDC, and I keep getting confused, thinking that Dame's also going to the ACDC concert, even though I know that is not true.
I mean, if you can get them to show up at our festival, I'd love that.
I'm just hoping they show up Friday.
Dame, are you not going to FaceTime with us next week because you don't want us to see you in your chaps?
Yeah, that's entirely why. I mean, even if I FaceTime with you, you could put that on. I'd have to give you, we could do that. I could potentially FaceTime because the gates would be opening right about the same time the show would get rolling. And you could see the carnage of people just flowing in.
That's a terrible idea.
This is the best idea we've ever had.
Terrible idea.
All right, Kristen, you get to control what we talk about next week because I know you don't like my topics. So
that's not true. I like lots of them.
Just not this one. All right. So next week on the show, Kristen's programming it. I will play Robin to her Batgirl because Robin is an androgynous name. So it could be anyway. And then Dame will be on location in Chaps.
Book it.
Oh, do you have 5G out there in the parking field?
4.5.
4.5G. All right. Well, this was a thing. Thanks everybody for letting us go fast. And that's all I got. Stay getting money.